Ken Verderami, and welcome to another edition of the Ultimate Steel Shooter, where we talk about all things and only things Steel Challenge. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel again. And before we jump into today's stage discussion for how the best way, strategy-wise, to shoot it and training methods used on it, quick housekeeping notes here. So if you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button and like the video and comment on it as well. All those things are really big deals. They help the Google algorithm push us higher up in search engines and things like that, and help the channel continue to grow so that I can continue to bring out this free content to you guys every week. Also, don't forget to check out my two books, Do You Feel the Need for Speed and The Game Within the Game, the only two shooting books on the market dedicated 100% to Steel Challenge shooting. You can find them on Amazon Books, of course. And then don't forget my training banners for dry fire training for Steel Challenge and for USPSA and for Glock Shooting Sports Federation competitions. You can find them all at steelshootbanners.com. All right, so let's get into it for today. So as you can see, today's stage we're going to talk about is Smoke and Hope. So I'm going to tell you that Smoke and Hope is probably one of the most misunderstood stages in Steel Challenge, and therefore people seem to have the most difficult with it on a relative basis. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, what do you mean? It's easy to shoot, right? The target's at 7 yards, 9 yards, and then the stop plate at 14. I mean, what's the big deal? Anybody can hit that. They're big 18 by 24 inch plates. It's no big deal. Okay. So while all that's true, while it's easy to shoot, it's not very easy to shoot well. And what I mean by well is fast. Okay, when people go, oh yeah, I don't bother training on Smoke and Hope, it's really easy, I don't need to practice on that. So my question back then was always the same. I said, so you shoot GM level times on Smoke and Hope regardless of what you shoot on any other stage because, well, you just said it's really easy. And then like, well, no, I don't really shoot GM times. I'm like, well, how come? Well, the reason is it's difficult to shoot well. And by well, I mean fast. And that's accuracy at speed, like with everything else, okay? So let's talk about the specifics that may help you learn to shoot this stage much faster than you have in the past. So the first thing is shooting order, okay? I've seen lots of different shooting orders, and I'm not really sure I understand where they're coming from because this one, kind of like 5 to go, there's really only one way to shoot it, and that is just shoot straight across. Now, that can be start target number 1, 1, 2, 4, 5, stop, or if you're more comfortable shooting right to left, shoot 5, 4, 2, 1, stop. I see a lot of people who shoot it 1, 2, then jump all the way to 5, and then go 4, stop, okay? The reason I don't particularly like that is because that's a really long transition going from 2 to 5 or from 4 to 1, same thing on the other side. With those really long transitions and you're moving really fast, it gets incrementally harder to decelerate, stop, do the reversal transition, and then go back to the direction without making a mistake on that reversal transition plate, okay? If you just simply shoot straight across, 1, 2, 4, 5, the transition between each individual plate is relatively short, and so it's pretty, you don't have to do anything complex there to get from one to the other. And then after you shoot the last plate, either 5 or 1, now you're gonna do a reversal transition and you're gonna come back to the stop plate. Well, at this point, you also need to change your sight picture, okay? Because you're now going from very short 7 and 9 yard 18 by 24 inch plates to a relatively more difficult target, a 12 inch target, 12 inch plate at 14 yards, okay? So you have to change your sight picture anyway. This gives you enough time after you make the shot and you start the reversal to switch in your mind that you now have to have a different sight picture in order to pick up the stop plate as fast as possible and still hit it. Right? That And so you want that just a little bit extra time to make that transition between sight pictures, and having the reversal at the farthest most plate away from the stop plate gives you that little extra time to be able to make that transition and pick up your sights and go and hit the stop plate as quickly as possible. Okay, that's not an insignificant thing. That's why I advocate shooting straight across and not this back and forth stuff. All right, so let's talk about sight picture. This is the #1 reason people don't shoot smoke and hope very well. They shoot the wrong type of sight pictures in both extremes. Okay, so a lot of people, they point shoot. They don't have any sight picture, right? The timer goes off and it's just bang, 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 and, right? And they miss and they come back and forth. And if you miss a plate on smoke and hope, your time is over, right? You cannot recover and still shoot it at a decent time relative to where you should be. So you have to go 5 for 5 every single time, right? So, but people who point shoot, right, they're not taking a sight picture on the shot, and so who knows what they're going to do, right? And people say, well, why do I got to look at my sights? So notice they didn't say what kind of sight picture, but you need to have a sight picture, okay? A 7-yard 18 by 20 inch plate is a very different sight picture than a 10-inch 18-yard plate that you're going to take on pendulum, for instance, okay? But you need to be looking, you need to have a sight picture every single time. It may be nothing more than, hey, the nose, right, the muzzle of the gun is in the white space, I'm good enough, okay? That's not point shooting, right? You're still using some kind of sight picture, although it's a very simple one. It's good enough to hit that target 100% of the time. Remember I talked about before, a couple of videos ago, about going out in the range and figuring out the minimum sight picture to hit every target every single time. Not, equal height, equal light, razor sharp focus on the front sight, blurry rear sight, that classic sight picture if you're shooting a hard, long shot. That's not necessary for every target in Steel Challenge, and of course smoke and hope is a perfect example. You need a minimum sight picture to hit 1, 2, 4, and 5. Now, coming back to the stop plate, you need a better sight picture to guarantee a hit every time. Okay, and I can tell I don't even have to watch a shooter. I just have to listen to their shooting cadence, and I can tell you whether they're using a sight picture on the first 4 targets or whether they're just simply point shooting and then going after the stop plate. Because a guy who's point shooting, you're going to hear a cadence something like this. Bang, 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 bang. Okay? So what's going on there? So they're just point shooting, bang, 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 and then as they come back, now they realize that they got to get on their sights for the first time in the stage. They haven't been looking at their sights, they're point shooting, so now they got to find their sights, then they got to get the right sight picture, then they got to get it on the target, and they got to pull the trigger. All that takes time and delay, and that's when you hear a cadence something like bang, 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 right? Listen to a good shooter. Don't watch them. Listen to a good shooter shoot smoke and hope. What you'll hear is bang, 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 bang. Almost no hesitation to get to the stop. In fact, the only hesitation is literally the physical time to get that distance, because they're on their sights the entire time. They're just changing what kind of sight picture they need when they go to the stop plate versus the kind of sight picture they need when they go after a big 7-yard 18 by 24 inch plate. Okay, so that's the #1 mistake that people make in shooting smoke and hope, and it's the thing you need to work on if you expect to push your times down to where they ought to be. Okay, as far as where you stand in the box, I stand in the center of the box. No reason not to, because it's a symmetric stage and the stop plate is dead center, so you're going to finish straight ahead, so you want your feet and your body pointed in that direction. But I stand as far back in the box as I can. And what that does is it helps with the transition angles on 1 and 5, right? The targets are so close that the closer you get to them, the more severe the angle is. The farther away you get, the shorter angle, right? Think of showdown. Targets are a long way away, right? But because the angle is, right, the distance between them is so small, the angle is very short, so there's not much transition. Okay? So I would try stepping all the way back into the box. Right? The box is only 3 by 3. You're giving up 3 feet, not a huge deal, right? 1 yard at most. Stand as far back in the box as you can, and then, right, if you're a rimfire shooter, you got no choice. You're going to be pointed dead center at the flag. If you're a center fire shooter, right, now you get to point at 1 or at 5. So square up your hips and your feet, and then rotate your body so that you are looking at target 1 or you're looking at target 5, right? And so on the timer, the camera here is stop plate. I'm going to be I've got my feet planted. I'm going to be turning my hips, and I'm going to draw this way, right? Don't sit here and draw and turn, right? You're allowed to turn you can't move your feet inside the box, and just have them turn. Have your feet pointing forward. Rotate your upper body, and then on the timer, just come here and then draw the first target, and then move across. And remember, only your upper body moves in smoking hope. It's got extremely wide transitions. Don't be moving your entire body and swinging to try to get to the targets. That's really difficult to shoot your transitions accurately and smoothly. You're going to waste a lot of time. Just keep your lower body planted firmly, and you're going to move your upper body as you move across. Right? Your upper body from your waist up moves as one unit. Okay? And again, it doesn't really matter whether you're shooting left to right or right to left. You're going to do the same thing, just in the opposite direction. All right, so that's basic strategy. Now, what about training? So, number one, I would, right, if you're a little uncomfortable with standing straight ahead, rotating your body to draw to one side or the other, because it is an extreme angle, I would practice the draw. And the other reason is, right, you're shooting a 7-yard, 18 by 24 inch rectangle. There is no reason that anyone out there who's shooting centerfire should be shooting anything but sub 1 second first shots, right? No. You should be down to 0.8s, even 0.7s if you're an accomplished shooter. There's no reason you can't on that first target. It's the easiest target there is to draw to. And so if you're much over a second, or if your first shot is 1.2, 3, 4, or 1.5 seconds, you need to seriously work on your draw. And I would spend a lot of training time perfecting that. The other thing that you want to practice is that final micro transition from either 5 to the stop plate or from 1 to the stop plate, whichever way you're going to shoot it, and work on that transition. I would start out on, if you're shooting left to right, I would start on pointing at plate 4 on the timer, bang, bang, stop. Okay, that's the transition I would work on. If you're shooting the other direction, it would be start on 2 and go on the timer, go bang, bang, transition back to the stop light, and work on perfecting that transition. Okay. Otherwise, the stage is pretty simple to shoot. You shoot straight across, right? The height of the stop plate versus the height of the rectangles are such that you don't need to move. So you come up, and if you're hitting the target, you should be aiming for the center of the rectangle. If you do that, you could shoot straight across 1, 2, 4, 5, and when you come back, you don't gotta move. You come off 5 and come straight across to hit the stop plate, and you don't have to waste a lot of time. That stage is set up, so you have to do that. It's just like with Showdown, even though you've got round plates and rectangles, and it looks like it's a different, you could draw a line straight across all those targets and never have to move. So if you find yourself with your index moving up and down as you're shooting across, you need to work on that and pick a spot and shoot straight across. Other thing is when you're looking at, when you're shooting, notice where your hits are as you're shooting across the stage, okay? Are your hits in the center of the target, or are they at the left edge or at the right edge? If you're shooting left to right, okay, and all your hits are at the left edge of each one, right, you're pulling the trigger before you really are on target, and you're getting lucky hitting those targets, so be careful. And the reverse is also true. If all your hits are at the extreme right edge of target, that you're shooting left to right, you're wasting a lot of time. You've already crossed the target. You should have long ago pulled the trigger, and for some reason, you're waiting to the very last second. You may not be seeing as much as you can see. So work on using where the hits are on the plates to help tell you what your transitions are doing and whether you need to adjust the mechanics of your particular transition. Okay, if the hits are all over, right, 1, 2, 4, 5, if they're all over the place, that means you haven't picked an index point and are holding straight across. You're moving that gun around, and yes, you're still hitting the target, but you're wasting a lot of time because every time you move the gun up and you bring it back down, that's wasted time. All right, guys, so that does it pretty much for this stage, both the strategies for shooting it and some training tips to try to help you be a better shooter. The biggest thing with Smoke and Hope is remember, while it's easy to shoot, it's not easy to shoot fast, and so you want to add this to your training routine if you haven't already done so, and continually to practice with it. All right, guys, so remember, if you're interested in my dry fire training system for Steel Challenge, check out the website at steelshootbanners.com. We also have we got 40 some odd USPSA training banners, and we got the Glock Shooting Sports Federation 3 official classifier stages as well. And you can check them all out. And again, I mentioned my 2 books, Do You Feel the Need for Speed and The Game Within the Game, both available at Amazon Books. And of course, as always, remember, slowing down is never the right answer. Never. You need to learn to see faster.
Ready. Bye. 178.